All right. I saw the minutes.
I didn't bring copies of them, I apologize, it slipped my mind, because we got the February, or no, what is it? May and April minutes that have to be approved.
May, we didn't have a quorum,
That's
Yeah.
correct.
so.
So, well, let's assume both. It's just February and May?
No, April and May.
April and May? You want to do both together? Does
Well,
anybody?
May you can't because we didn't have
Oh,
a
that's
quorum,
right.
so
No
it's not an
quorum,
official
sorry. So
year.
it's just April then?
Yeah,
But the
Okay.
April ones were sent out,
and so was the May.
so.
Yeah, I got the May.
I sent the May out just as
Yeah,
a record.
yep. If everybody read the April,
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any comments, suggestions, adjustments?
No, I'm all set.
All set? Everybody's all set?
All set.
You have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept
Okay, second?
April minutes.
I second.
All in favor? Good.
Bill, maybe just everybody go around and say who's here for the meeting.
Oh, yeah,
So,
sure.
Please, thank you.
Let me just make a note here. Okay, I guess we'll just put our names in, speak loudly so that it's recorded. We are being recorded. So,
Art Salidas,
Bill Manning,
Doug Cole.
Russ Greenwood.
Ron Campo.
Kevin Foley.
Todd Ellis.
okay. Old business.
facilities wise, we're in pretty good shape. We had a lot of irrigation heads at Lafa that needed to be changed. Not sure why. Got the job done, but it's always been puzzling that we have more irrigation heads there that have problems than at West Road. I don't know, it could be that they're older, I have no idea, but get them replaced and everything is up and working A-OK. Facilities wise, everything is in good shape. We've had enough rain and enough sun, so fields have been fertilized and ready to go. We were talking about Sid and I were talking about the treatment of the weeds along the fence, and do we spray or do we cut? Cutting is very labor intensive, so we're gonna have to do something, just make it look a little bit better.
You know,
It's
and the weeds grow really fast, so if you cut,
the back.
Yeah.
As
the
a-
back.
yeah.
So the spray, my thoughts, the spraying is probably.
And we can spray a little strip and it's clean along the fence, and then we can get the mows up next to it, so.
Yeah.
Equipment wise, we've had some trouble with the two diesel mowers. One was overheating, and the other one, it's time for a tune-up, which is very costly, and it's just you have to replace the parts, and the parts are very expensive now. The diesels do run longer, and it's a better buy, but everything is just, the parts are just so expensive now. It's a little befuddling to me, but we have to do it to keep them, Sid keeps a very good record of the equipment. He has it serviced, and we call our guy if there's a problem. But I don't think there's anything we can do. And I apologize, that's my phone ring, the entertainer. And
Well, we still save 50,000 to 75,000 a year by
oh yeah,
doing this ourselves versus
Absolutely.
hiring out a contractor. So
yeah.
it's actually still saving us money.
The first year we did it, we paid, I don't know, $60,000-$70,000 for mowing.
Yep.
And then Sid came up with the idea of, look, if we buy the mower, it's gonna cost us this much and a few extra hours, and then next year we'll be, we're making money, so to speak. We're not really, but
Well, one of the mowers is 18 years old, isn't it now?
the older diesel is,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why we got the newer diesel, because it's a better deal. The last gas mower didn't last that long, especially with the electronics, so.
And we bought 2 mowers and saved in labor, and we still save 50,000 that year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so,
next year. So
Good deal.
okay, other than that, the equipment's fine. Budget-wise, we're okay, we're right where we thought we would be, and where the finance manager thought we would be. So we we did have the budget freeze where we got permission to get our programs ready. I have to buy stuff for the summer program and whatnot, so we'll be okay. Updates from our assistant rec director.
Yeah, so I'll jump right into programming. I know Ron last time heard a lot of the updates, but so spring-wise, we're wrapping up most of our spring programs. We wrapped up our dodgeball with last week with the Parents First Kids games for all the different age groups. So that's always a big hit, very popular. We get almost as many adults playing as the kids that are out there. So some photos have been posted online on our social media for that as well. Tonight we had our intro to track for 5 to 8 year olds. They concluded with a mini meet, so they all participated in a couple running events as well as long jump and relay. Again, parents and spectators came out to view that. Everybody was given ribbons and some snacks at the end. The older Grant State Track and Field program for 9 to 14 year olds, that will wrap up this Saturday. They have a state meet at Winnisquam High School up in Tilton, and that starts about 9:30 in the morning, and it'll go throughout the day, depending on how well they do. They can go into finals, and we have one relay team, so they'll be there till the end of the day as well. But that's family affair with about 20 to 30 other towns that participate in that as well. So this will be Londonderry's first year as part of that. We have tennis going on. We got that back up and running. There was we took a small hiatus there at the end of April, May, but that wraps up June 23rd, and we'll actually carrying right into the summer. We're going to continue with tennis programs, but we're going to partner with the USTA. That's the United States Tennis Association. So they provide coaches and equipment, as well as many of the lesson plans that'll take place. The instructor that we have right now is part of USTA, so he'll be remaining with our program, so there'll be familiarity with our participants. So looking forward to having him back this summer as well. And that's for grades 1 through 8. That's what that's offered, which is nice because it sandwiches, it's in the middle of kind of the other tennis camps that are taking place in June and August. They're already offered in the past, so it kind of fills that space in July that typically doesn't have anything going on at the tennis courts. The summer playground, we're at about 152 participants right now, so that's with online registration being open this year. We know kind of ahead of time what our numbers are looking like, so that's already getting increasingly closer to where we were last year, and that's pretty steady flow of registrations coming in, and that'll go all the way up until July 8th when that camp does start, and throughout the summer months as people want to do the drop-in program. The new Voyager camp for 11 to 15 year olds, we expanded the wait list since last time I was here and did open it up. We now have a total of 64 participants in that camp. Again, they can participate in whatever number of trips that they would like to. In doing it and expanding the wait list, we actually hired a new counselor as well. So we have 2 counselors for that to assist me with that field trip based program this summer. So. Which is great. So when we got the buses all set and the trips are all set, that's all been double checked. So that starts at the end of June on the 27th. And we got an adult program off and running. Adult kickball is going to start next Monday. We have 12 participants for that. That's going to take place at Matthew Thornton. So excited to see how that goes throughout. That's a 6-week program and ends end of July. So that'll be on Mondays. It is, yes, yep,
Okay,
yep.
cool.
So I was glad to see we got some adult stuff going on this summer as well. You want me to hold off on playground till later?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay.
We've worked on the playground together, and I did the beginning stuff. He's got the end stuff, and the Primex. What did we call Primex? A checkup by Primex, our insurance carrier.
Yeah, they can do an annual inspection on the facilities and grounds. So around end of April, it was brought to our attention about the issues over at Funway Playground at LAFA, just to some safety hazards, some things that need to be brought to our attention. So we spoke with town management, town council about some of that process, and we actually met with them on the May 20th meeting and did a presentation about the facility in general, how it looks, what the need basis is over there, the maintenance schedule, some things that we had looked at, and one of those preemptively we had Primex come out to inspect the playground. All in all, it was a favorable outlook by them. There were minor safety concerns, things that could be addressed, but nothing that was overly pressing were egregious. So we were able to request through the town council after going over some of the maintenance needs about the need for two new climbers on each of the facility equipments, as well as replacing the yellow rocker that is broken there. The other major safety concern is just ground surfacing, so requests for additional mulch and playground material to go underneath all of the equipment to get to the national standard, which is about, at minimum, about 9 inches in depth. So we're missing that in a lot of spots at the playground. So, and then just in terms of talking about some of the fencing that is along there as well, if you've been over there, one of the entryways was actually fencing that just been kind of peeled back and somebody made up their own entryway. So talking about putting an actual gate in there, replacing fencing to just do help with some of the safety aspects that are going on over there. So we were they graciously approved that up to $20,000 use of ARPA funds to start on some of those maintenance fees. Maintenance costs, and one of it being too that we would look to spread the playground surface material ourselves and using a volunteer day to assist with that, just to help with the community outreach. But they did award up to $20,000 in renovations and restorations up there. So the volunteer day we do have tentatively marked down for July 13th next month. So I'm sure we'll be in touch with everybody about needing assistance up there. But that will go out in a flyer to all of our groups and departments that we work with, as well as posted on social media.
Doug, where did the 20K come from?
ARPA funds. And that will go towards the climbers, the two climbers, the yellow rocker, those are already ordered. So it's just a matter of when supplies catch up and those can get delivered. The ground surface material has also been set and ordered. That will arrive prior to the volunteer day, so that we are able to actually spread it. Fencing, we're still collecting bids at this time. We're trying to look at even restoring the whole fence line on the back side as well. So in replacing the double swing gate and adding a 3-foot entry swing gate up by the tennis courts as well. So that is where we're at right now with that. It's moving along. We're getting things done or approved there, and hope to have a lot of those restorations in place by the late summer, fall months.
Sounds good. Have we ever had the insurance company look at the skate park?
I believe they did. Did they look at our skate park?
Not in this past one. No way.
They did an exercise where they looked at all our fences at one time. I imagine they looked at it.
Yeah, and the skate we had work done on the skate park.
A couple of years ago.
No. This spring, early spring.
Didn't the police officer get a bunch
Yeah,
of
but
people
after
to come in
that,
and
I brought a welder in because when it was built, they put two pieces of metal next to each other, and the metal over time, the kid's going down the middle, and it just kind of curled up a little bit. So the welder came in, and the metal worker, and got some metal and put a piece of metal underneath it, and then tacked it all the way down, and then hit it with the grinder so it's smooth, so nothing is sticking up. I think the thing that probably going to happen on the skate park will be that wood eventually will.
That's what I was asking.
Right.
We can probably look into it because Primex is the town's insurer, so they come out and they do that as part of
That
the
was,
service.
it's a comfort factor. And that is, people are doing real active things in there. And
I thought they had gone down, but I could be mistaken.
I just have never heard that they've been in there. So
Okay.
Is there any questions on programming or playground?
How many kids in the Voyager Club can you take now that you got 2 counselors?
It's probably the max. So what I do is for that it's usually 12-to-1 ratio is what I max out to being on a field trip. So there are some trips that we're now at that max capacity. So, and if not, the way I've run in the past, we do get parental volunteers, and they would go through the process, the HR process in order to participate and assist on those trips. But right now we're still good within the threshold of each trip. It's very much spread out. There's nobody going on every single trip. So some like to hike, some like to go to the amusement parks.
Thank you.
Yep.
new business.
Okay, summer counselors, they're all on board, and we hired 2, we had 3 people apply, which is the most we've had apply, and I think the last 2-3 years, because before past couple of years we were scraping. So I think we'll do A-okay. We had some unauthorized use at West Road with a bunch of adults that are going down there. I went and I asked them to leave. They weren't real cooperative, and the police were involved, and we talked about putting up signage. And it's been suggested to us that we wait and see if it continues to be a problem. If it does continue to be a problem, we'll put up signs that, I'm not sure what they're gonna say, but basically it's open to Londonderry residents, and part of the problem with the group using it is that there were probably 2 or 3 Londonderry residents, and the other 27 were from out of town. And one guy complained, well, you threw us off here before. Okay. And it's just, I don't see it, trying to protect the facilities for our kids
Well, it's gonna
and
slow
our
down.
adults.
If you let one do it, it'll be another.
And it's gonna grow, and part of the problem is the fields are nice.
Right.
Is it an organized group of people going in there, or is it
Well,
just
when I went
show
on,
up?
I asked who ran the program, and they said, who's the head of this? No, there is no head. It's all done by email. They play indoors, then they send emails to each other. We're going to play here tonight, or we're gonna go play there next Thursday, or whatever, and they just kinda reminded me of a flash mob. They all
Yeah,
show
it's
up
really
there.
how they operate. And the thing for us is what happened is that, and again, we'll have to do a better job with our coaches as well. It's just to let them know that there should not be adults. So what happens is there was a group that showed up to practice on the field, and these adults were on the field, so they went to another field to practice. So, obviously our coaches need to know that shouldn't happen. You show up, you should have the field. But it's a similar, and then the problem is that the field that they happen to be on, as you guys know, is a field that we had downsized to rest certain spots so that we would not lose the field for next year. And here they are, a bunch of adults.
Digging it up.
And it's always the group. And again, I'm all for playing. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm anti-playing on the fields, but, they'll use our equipment, they'll move the equipment, they'll bring trash barrels onto the field to use as goals, they won't take them off. And again, I get what they're trying to do and what they want to do, but the bulk of them aren't even from town. It's like a group that gets kicked off all over the place. And
When you drive in, you see all mass plates.
Right.
And I said, if you're from Londonderry, I don't have a problem. And the guy said, oh, I'm from Londonderry. I said, oh, where do you live? You got me. What's your address? You couldn't tell me. And they do that. They've been thrown off of Litchfield. They've been thrown out of here. I said, well, just... So we may have to, in the future, if it continues, we'll have to do something, because if one field is showing use, we'll close it down if we can. And we work with the soccer group that, okay, don't practice on that field. And we may end up having to put, field closed signs on it like they do at the high school, but it is by no means shutting off people that just want to go down there with their kids and kick the ball around. And one of the guys that was there was from Londonderry. So you mean if I want to bring my son down here to kick the ball around, you absolutely can. But not when you bring 29 friends who are not from Londonderry. It's just
Not open to leagues. Leagues have to be sanctioned.
leagues. Yeah, we won't allow any
Well, that's
leagues.
what I was asking. the
Yeah.
question.
it's an organized pickup, I will say that. They're
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
organized with what they're doing.
And so we'll just have to keep an eye on it. And when you have nice fields, that's a concern all the time. New Hampshire charge football sanctioning. Apparently he's not coming.
Yeah, everybody was sent that information. I think I saved people's responses about that information as to whether or not you approved or not. So if you haven't had time to look at that, you can look. It did seem it was
I think
leaning
I
in favor.
responded to that.
I think most
Yeah.
people did. I think in the leaning towards they not approving the sanctioning of that group. So I know they found other field space at the YMCA. I think for the time being. So I think they're going to utilize that space for the time.
This was the flag football, right?
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have 3 age groups, and
Yeah, they've been kicked off of all sorts of fields. They were found on the high school fields, they were asked to leave there. They were tried to,
Same type of thing.
same type of thing.
well,
They did not care about
They,
closed field signs.
they have
let's put it
three
like that.
groups, 3 age groups, and there was only one age group that was applying for sanctioning because 60 or 55% of his kids are from Londonderry. But if you sanction somebody, it has to be for the whole group, so. He was looking for practice area, he's found it, I think he's happy, and they'll go off to the,
Good for him.
wherever they're going, so. Okay, we talked about Primex already, and one of the problems with the playground is that, you know, we tried to, some of the step-up things that need to be replaced, we had the rep down from O'Brien and Son, and he said those are all special order. They special ordered a lot of stuff that makes it impossible to replace, so we're going with something different. It's not gonna look the same, but it'll be safer and it'll be great. We have a new employee, Paul, is no longer cutting grass at West Road. He is retired from that aspect of his career. He's still doing a couple of other things in the meantime. And we hired Bill Sullivan, who will be, he's already started. And I talked to Paul Sunday and just asked him how he was doing, and he said he was down, he worked Saturday at rec soccer, and he said the grass looked great. He said, I actually think he did a better job than I did. So I think we're fortunate. We had one applicant, and he's very qualified. He's got right on the mower and knows what he's doing. And he's done it before. Okay, a couple of other things. I got a call today from a woman from Hudson, and Hudson was playing a Londonderry team, or they had a grandchild playing in Londonderry. They live in Hudson, and the grandpa is in a wheelchair, and he couldn't get on the field. You know, I know if that happens during the rec soccer part
Rec is usually open on Saturday.
is open on Saturday,
Yeah.
that the concession stand is open, we could put signs up or something,
Yep.
go to the concession stand.
Well, both gates, on Saturday, both gates are open on the rec side.
Okay. So that's not a problem, but it was for this guy who wanted to see his granddaughter play, and he was on field 6.
Thought
So he
coaches
was
all
by
had
the road.
keys or access.
No, it's
So-
very limited with who has gate keys.
Okay.
But then you'd have to give a gate key to every coach,
Correct.
so,
Or a code. You could do padlocks.
Could do
with
code,
a-
but if he was on field 6, he could watch. I mean, I understand.
was it
his-
field 6?
6 is right along the parking lot.
Maybe it was field, no, he wasn't on 7 then.
Could have been on field 4, that would have been an issue, where you kick the adults off and he was out back there. That
Okay, I'm sorry. It was either 4 or 5 that he was on, and he couldn't get to see, and I felt bad, you know, and
You know what we could try to do is, and I'm going to touch on this about something else, but we could try to have it. We're going to try to be more informative because we're starting to have more and more dog violations, and it always seems that person seems to be out of town that happens to own that dog as well too. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to have communications change so that messages go out to the teams. So maybe what we could do is also include something like that in those messages that go out.
I was gonna suggest that the
Yes.
teams that you're competing against, if,
We could say, hey, by the way, if you know of somebody that is going to need access, then we can
Please-
find a way to unlock.
please
the
contact
gate.
us.
I mean, or if we did go to code. But the other issue that we have also, and I don't know how you guys, we also have like codes to our lights, right? Well, eventually that gets passed down to certain
Yeah.
people that it shouldn't
yeah.
get passed to, and next thing you know, you have a group of people that are at the field using your lights. So that'd be my only concern. But again,
Or the combination locks, you could change them every season.
What about just a lockbox with a combination on it that you can change every month?
and somebody could come to grab the key if they had to. Yeah, we
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
put one out like those. No, actually, we could also we have the 2 sheds there, so we have our shed split. So there's only board access to the back side, and there's coach access to the front side. We could almost put a key on the inside of there.
Yeah. Is there a camera on either one, or?
That's always
Or
been
on
in
the concession
discussions. Part of the
stand.
issue is the Wi-Fi issue over there to be able to have cameras that are powerful enough. But it's something that Mike Bartlett's had on his to-do list for a while, but there just seems to be technological issues for him to put it over there. But
This is the second call I've had about that. The first call was interesting because it was the guy that called me. I've known since I was 13 years old, and we played Babe Ruth baseball together. And when he started to talk, I recognized his voice, but he had the same problem because he was in a wheelchair, and I think maybe it was on fields 1, 2, and 3 though, so we were able to
that
help him
one I
out.
remember because we were able to work that one out.
Yeah,
And actually, those paths are better to be able to get to the fields for a wheel,
Yep.
depending on what he has for a wheelchair. But I'll talk about it with my board in regards
Yeah.
to, because all those keys are the same. So maybe what we can do is we can put a key in that part of the shed, and then coaches, if, will be aware of it, type of thing. And they
What
can
about
use
putting
that.
it on the building next to the AED? People
Well-
would remember there's an AED there.
That's true, but I mean, our coaches, for the most part, that's where they're supposed to go grab flags, to put the flags on the field and do all that
That'd be
stuff.
there.
So that
I'd rather have the
Yeah.
coaches doing it than putting it out there because
Mhm.
if one person opens that up and one kid takes his,
that is always the
Yeah.
concern that it gets left open.
it gets left open where it's.
So
I go back to the old days when we had a horse walking across President's Field at Laffa, putting all the way across, so.
No, but I'll have the board put something so that it's in our regular communications, because we have to put more of the dogs are not allowed in the fenced-in area
Yeah.
thing. But we'll also attach the, if you have, accessibility needs or that you're aware of, please let us know ahead of time, and that way we can kind of cue the coaches. Because obviously the last thing we want is someone to make the trip to go out there and see their grandchild or child and not be able to get to it, so.
So is the dog issue when they're playing, or they just
If
pooping
you
all
want
over
to
the
jump
fields?
in, it's two things. So what it is that it's people bringing dogs inside the fenced-in area when kids are present,
Yep, they're not supposed to.
and they're
do
not
that.
supposed to, and then so they need to be asked to go back outside the fence area and watch.
Mhm.
The other thing is, I think I brought this up before, and I don't know if we can do something more, if the town council can. I would like to see it that we change the ordinance to there's no dogs or pets inside any fenced-in athletic field, period, because we continue to have, especially, not so much the rec side for whatever reason, but that travel side, people go all the time, and the coaches are talking all the time about how they show up at the field, or they show up for practice. And again, in fairness to the coach, unless it's right on their bench, they probably don't see it. Then you start practice, and the next thing you know, some kid's raising his hand to say, this happened. I mean, and again, I feel bad for it, but like we were just up in Maine this past weekend, and we were at a beach, and they have an ordinance, this had to be Kennebunkport, they have an ordinance that dogs are not allowed on the beach at all from June 15th to like Labor Day during a certain time. Now granted, that's for pestering and less for fouling on the fields. But I mean, I feel bad for the people that follow the rules, right? That they run their dogs and they're all great, but it probably is the
Not
same
picking
dog.
up.
It could, they're
Yeah.
just not picking it up, and it's just, I don't know. So I don't know if that's obviously a bigger discussion perhaps, but I don't even know how you, and again, you still gotta catch the person, which is.
It's a bigger discussion. It took me
Yeah.
2 years to get the ordinance that we have.
I bet, because again, and I understand there's other reasons as well, into that.
When a kid got bit in the face at Laffa,
Yeah.
was, you gotta do something about it.
Do you know if fouling up is still a thing up at Laffa? Like, do people take their dogs up to run them inside the fence? Because what they see is they like
I've
to
seen
just
it
let them go in the
occasionally.
fence.
I haven't been up there. They do it. If they do it, it's early in the morning.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's the same thing with us.
There's a couple of people that take their dogs down, and I've seen them, and the people that I've seen, very friendly to me, they, hi, how you doing, blah, blah, and they, very careful about that,
Right.
and for those people, I love it, because they're kinda looking, they're
Yeah.
taking care of the field. I'm wondering if there are loose dogs around there too, if we're blaming the owners when it's,
Well,
Or the
I
walkers
would
works.
say I have been there, and there's a few people that let their dogs run, and I'm not so sure that they're
they're gonna
carrying
pick up, yeah.
anything to pick up with them, type of thing. So,
Yeah.
but again, I I don't know. I feel bad for the kids that run into it. I feel bad for the coaches that, I mean, it's not like we have shovels on the fence or anything to do it. So I don't know what the solving is, but I was intrigued to see that note up at the beach saying, all right, they restricted even more.
You do that in New York too.
Yeah.
They allow them early in the morning on the beach, but then after, I forget what time it is, I think it's like 8 o'clock.
Down on the Cape, in Hyannis, it's
No,
May to September or some date, none are allowed on the beach.
Do you guys think honestly, and I'm a bit of a pessimist, I admit, but if we actually put those bag dispenser things outside that people would actually, I think most people that are wary, they bring their own
No, I don't
bags
think
and they
they
take
use
care of
them.
it. I think the people that, these are my fields and I can use them however they want are just gonna,
I would agree with
you
that.
know,
I don't think that they'll use them. I think
Yeah.
that's just a waste. They're not following the rules as it is.
well, that's my thought as well.
maybe the visiting team should be getting the notice to the other organizations too, to tell the parents dogs are not welcome.
No, we'll do this, but I think some of these are perhaps, I don't know, I'm not saying they live in Londonderry, but people that
Oh,
bring
yeah,
their
just
dogs
the
to
walkers,
run,
yeah.
that, again, and I get, but I think it's fenced in so they can just let their dogs go and run. That's the
Yeah.
thing. But as you guys all know, in Westwood, there's plenty of trails you can take your dog on all around up there that's not on the field. But I think they like to
But
feed
they're on
them.
trails.
Right.
The answer is, the people like,
They just like to let them free. And I get that.
that's the issue.
You can do the DNA on it and catch who it is. I mean, that's what condo associations do, and it's common now.
Interesting.
How do you get the samples of the DNA from the dog
You know
though?
what they do? They make everybody with a dog give them a sample up front.
Yeah, but that's in a
And
condo
condo
association.
Right.
But it's hard to do that on a baseball field.
No, but what if it's a pattern? You pick it up right away. That's how far you want to go.
I see people walking their dogs. They take that Laffa trail that goes around the back, and
Yeah.
but they usually have the dogs leashed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it's probably the people that are regularly out there in the morning, and the only way to do is maybe we got to continue to maybe if we put cameras up and we can do that and track it that way. You know, I don't know. I don't know how far.
Well, the
it goes.
first step was just when there were no kids, and
Right.
we said if it became a problem, then we'd eliminate them altogether. Back
Yeah.
when those fields were new, that's the discussion we had.
Well, again, like you feel bad for the ones that do it. They do the rules the way they want, you know. But it's just that one or two. So anyway, so that was the dog issue in regards to that.
Yeah.
One or two.
You had some. You had
Yeah,
something
no pun
else?
intended on that
You
one.
said you had two things.
No signs on the gates. No, I think that is it. If anybody wants to see the pictures from the Primex evaluation, I have them here. I have a copy of them here. And
That's a good idea.
Could we-
Insurance companies in every year to do inspections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that on all our buildings.
Yeah.
and
No,
systems.
it
Yeah.
is a good idea.
It is. Because to hire somebody to come in, you gotta pay them money to come in.
Yeah.
And this was a pretty good evaluation. I
Yeah,
thought she
and
was very
I was
thorough.
I was there on site too, so she was able to point out things that we can do on a regular basis. So month to month, I can get out there and look for different things too that might become problems. So it's not just always annual. So that was nice too. So sort of on-site training when it comes to that.
One of the things, somebody had a master lock, padlock, and put it on the swing, on the chain. Which the kid could hit the head, so
Yeah, there were some simple.
some very
fixes.
simple things, some folks who were too
Could
exposed.
you scan that and just send it to everybody, or I can scan it?
So we're gonna have that on the website as well. That's gonna be the whole presentation, the documentation, all the upgrades will be part of our website. So it'll be a whole separate link. We've also started. Kirsten Hilden, who's been here at the meeting, she's also put together a Google Docs form, so people for all of our facility space can fill those out if they see an issue. They fill that out. It comes to us the information so that we're able to. It comes directly to our email, or we can address it that way too. So that was part of our presentation, was letting people know how they can communicate with us. With all the different outlets that we do have now. So, which has been good. We've actually gotten some people have reached out about some other things too, but they've been following the different formats that we have laid out.
Tennis court lights were a problem because they weren't coming on. And if the last step we took doesn't work, we're calling Kevin, which is our usual go-to. But I think it was just the circuit breaker that was shot. And I think I flicked one, set it, and then I went over, it looked okay. I thought it was working, but it wasn't. So I've had 2 people call me, and I thanked them and asked them, if it doesn't work, call me. And we'll look at it. And I haven't gotten another call, so it could have just been a circuit breaker, which it was,
Nice.
I think, last year or the year before. So,
Are we still having a drainage problem in the playground?
yes.
Is there any thought given before we put all this mulch down again that we could try and fix some of that?
Well, here's what's happened with that. We talked about that last time, and where the new tennis courts are, the upper tennis courts,
Yeah.
all the water comes off one spot and goes
Yep.
boom right there. So my thought, not being an engineer, but just thinking about it, okay, let's put a little pipe in the ground, shoot it out to the detention pond. Seems simple to me. Well, it's not that simple, obviously, but and I talked to Dave with DPW, and then I talked to the town engineer. The town engineer was going to go over and look at it, and I talked to him for quite a while, and he's going to go over and look at it and see if he can come up with some options, because that's the cause of all the problems with the water. It's all coming from that tennis.
Yeah.
All the water from the 2 tennis courts is coming down, and then
And it washes away some of
it washes it away.
so-
And we purposely left it along the lower tennis court side. We didn't put new wood chips there, because it's easier to walk on, and it's not gonna get washed away because they're not there. So he's gonna come up with something, and I'm not, he was talking, there's a drain there that we may be able to hook into or something.
Yeah, because
So-
we walked that one time a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, and the other problem is the stuff gets soaking wet, and it just stays that way for days.
And the tennis court was in, and then the playground was expanded. So it probably should have been done back then, but, nobody really was up there in the rain to see it coming off that way.
Yeah, part of the presentation was the maintenance needs and how we're going to look at it for short term and long term. So irrigation was on the longer term of how that's going to be done and how we can adjust and fix that. But even long term maintenance is going to be the playground surface material and trying to get that in every couple of years, because it's going to wash off, it's going to pack down, it's going
Yeah.
to break down. So that's something as we look at budget season, it's coming up with how those annual fixed costs, what are they going to look like. So whether some are going to be every couple of years, some are going to be annually, but even replacement of safety issues with parts and climbers and monkey bars, anything that might come up, even that pavilion cover, we know that needs to be addressed at some point too. So try to prioritize now for safety concerns.
Is there anything that you, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
is there anything, I was just looking at the Remax Innovative about the basketball hoop and all that.
Haven't heard anything.
All right, so she just came to do, is she the one that wanted to redo the?
So
the
no,
board?
Remax is coming, and what they wanted to do was just kind of they're gonna be part of Old Home Day event this year.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a balloon,
The
and they
balloon.
want to raise the money and use it and donate that money towards playground maintenance costs.
Oh, okay, so then that's how that got tied into perhaps upgrading or doing something with basketball.
Right. So
And
yeah.
basketball, the guy's gonna do his own fundraising.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
he wanted to see if it was worthwhile to look into, and then he would come back and present kind of when he has a better idea or a better plan as to.
As to
But
what
he
he
wanted to
wants to
see
do.
kind of if it was
Okay.
worthwhile to go down the road to even look into it. So that's what he's out doing right now.
Gotcha, all right.
You said you were gonna put this on the website?
Yes.
Okay, then I probably need, would you rather look at it at the website or just?
Website will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, because that way,
Bill, I got 2 things. One question is, the sanctioning of this group, should we come around again to all the organizations and just check on the sanctioning, make sure they got all that paperwork?
I used to do that, and then, I can't remember when, but it was taken out of our hands, and the town council now does the sanctioning.
Yeah, but
So-
you've got the paperwork. I guarantee they're not looking at the, are they doing the tax forms? Do they have their all those things that kind of go through that. And that may be something you guys want to talk with the town manager on, but I think it should be, I think we should, maybe once a year, go through LAFR and the soccer group and the basketball group and all that, just to make sure everything's
It's every
there.
5 years they're supposed to be re-sanctioned. And how long has Kirby been gone now? So
A
it
year.
was last year, and she hadn't done it for about 3. So it's been probably 4 or 5 years. And last time it was handled by the town manager's office. So I don't know. We can talk about it and figure it out. I don't mind doing it, but I don't want to.
All I'm saying
Yeah.
is, I think it should be done,
Yep,
just to keep,
we'll figure out how to do it.
just to make sure that everyone's staying
Yeah.
on
Still
track.
following those, yeah.
Yeah, not following the rules.
But, stay compliant to your
I
sanction.
changed to
Yeah,
Kevin, to
no,
you,
I hear you.
and you kind of lose those things.
Yep.
I hear you.
The second thing that I was thinking about, again, with the football group is, I think the 60% number is very good for adults. I wonder if it should not be somewhere higher for kids. Just a thought. I mean, the adults, I can understand that, I don't play sports anymore, and so you may have to go out to get a couple of things, and 60% seems reasonable for that. But for the kids, if we're gonna give a field out, I would think that number maybe should be higher.
Any idea what you guys are at?
Well, I mean, we changed that from per team. I remember when we just did that a few years ago. We changed the per team to the entire club had to be
Yeah.
at least 60%, and some of that had to do with depending on all organizations what the travel side of it was, because typically it depends on the travel side. Might have more out of town and less. That has not happened, so I would say for us, we don't have a lot of out of town kids. I mean, so we've got about 900 kids. I think probably, I'd be surprised if 50 were from out of town, so whatever that percentage breaks.
So on my end, not that it's entirely the same, but with the new program we do have offered, we are getting non-residents that come that, it's not offered in their town recreation. So it's not that it's pushing, 40-50% of those kids, but I don't want to take away from program not running because we can't run it.
Time out for a second. I'm not talking about, if someone wants to be sanctioned, they don't sanction to go to your program.
Right, but I try to stay consistent with what the policies are in town for using of fields. Like if I wanted to do something over at the soccer fields, or we needed to use a ball field, so I try to stay consistent with my program in terms of ordinances and what that is already offered.
Again, if everyone's happy with 60%, that's fine. I just think it's a low
Yeah,
number.
I think most of the groups are,
You just had one that just came in.
yeah, that one,
But
Yeah,
the fact is, I can bring one in too at 60%. And it seems like a low number
Yeah.
to give them the fields. That's,
Well, I think
I'm
it's-
more concerned about giving out fields.
Well, 60%, I think we were flush with kids too. I mean, there was like 1,300 in rec and 400 in travel.
Well, that number just,
Those numbers
I
are-
don't know if I'm trying to remember when we did it. I think it was 60% per team, and I think all we did was kept it at 60 and changed it to the entire club had to be that, so that the majority of the club was town organizations,
'cause when I wrote it
town residents.
way back when, I had it at 80%. And it was lowered to 60 for the adults.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I think there
Yeah.
should be two numbers. Adults,
Yeah.
the youth groups is one number, and the adult programs that run through the office, the softball and whatever else they do.
Yeah, there-
I mean, what's Wildcats at? I mean, we accept Hooksett kids.
Yeah, they're not.
I mean, I know it's
yeah,
minimal,
they're-
but I'm saying.
They're well
Well,
over.
I'm fairly sure that they made it. I think it has to be primarily resident only at Wildcat now. So I mean, I get what you're saying, Ron.
But they do.
I
They do take the Hooksett kids though.
and that's because now the middle school also accepts them because the middle school football,
And the Hooksett kids are coming to Londonderry to go to school too.
and that's the only exception they made, and that was during COVID that they
Yeah.
made that exception, and then they were.
But I think they're still well over 60 though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that they're one of the only groups that they don't allow outsiders
Well,
besides.
Laffer has like
Laffa, I don't believe allows an outsider,
maybe a handful
Yeah,
or
maybe,
but it's only because they don't offer that at that town.
yeah, or,
Yeah,
or
but
some other,
But it depends though, because if you look at the fusion part of it, then that's a whole different
yeah,
ball game. You know.
yeah. So, just something to think about,
Definitely.
is there
What
a
would,
point?
what would your number be for? No. Just if you had a.
I was looking, the 60 to 80%, I don't know if you wanna use it, the way you do it is the team or the
I
league.
think, personally speaking from the soccer side of it, and being at the high school, I would love to obviously have my kids play here in town at a competitive level. The only way to have that happen is to have it be supplemented at some point with out-of-town kids, because as a Londonderry alone, you can't compete at a certain level.
Right.
So that's why I think by organization is fair, because I do think that you should do that. Now, again, that's also meaning that no kid gets displaced. In my mind, I'm thinking, just because he doesn't make the first team, then there's the second team and there's rec or there's something else he can play at, but he just might not be happy that he's not playing on the top team.
The top tier,
So,
yeah.
right, so that was it from the competitive. Now, has my dream of that come to fruition? No, it has not, come to fruition, but that would be my mindset where, it should be the
Has that
entire
not
club.
changed from Laffa? I mean, aren't all stars only supposed to be from Londonderry?
Most of the teams, when they were at the younger age, to 12 or 13, are at there. When you get into the fusion, it gets a little
It
bit.
depends on what leagues they're probably playing in, right?
well,
So,
American Legion.
Correct. That's what I mean. Now Londonderry
Yeah.
doesn't have a senior Legion team.
So the American Legion will draw from
3-4 towns.
because they won't get the kids. The program will die.
Well, like Londonderry's program did unfortunately go defunct for the senior league. Now we only have a junior league. You know what I mean? So
and a lot of that has to do with the AAUs and all that other stuff. My goal
100%.
was always to try to cut off those people by having it be more predominantly Londonderry kids supplemented by.
and this New Hampshire Charge is a flag football all-star. Like he's
My biggest issue with that is, again, regardless of that whole thing, I don't think we should be looking at organizations that come in to compete with something that's already being done. Like, for example, it seemed to me like that was like compete with what the Wildcats are trying to get into with flag and all that stuff. And all
this
of a
was
sudden
even
you
more
have-
exclusive.
yeah,
He was pulling this
exactly.
stuff from the winter leagues over in the Bedford Sportsplex or anything like that, and then he's gearing up where I know that he's going out to Florida to compete. So he's strictly just using Londonderry because it was convenient for him, and I think that that's where
Right.
I'm with you. If it was an all Londonderry team, I'd be like, okay.
Can you get to a point where someone comes in and team gets sanctioned, baseball, football, they've got 60 kids, they got 2 teams, and they meet that 60 deadline and they want a field.
Would the town allow another group to come in that would compete against a group that's already here?
No.
That's part of
We're
sanctioning.
almost here.
Yep.
With
Yeah.
this
No,
one.
I agree with what they want to do. That was my biggest concern. Like, that can already be offered, not maybe to the extent that they wanted it to.
Well, right, that's the thing. He just found all the best.
So I agree with
players.
what you're saying too. The last thing I would want is kind of like these specialized groups to come in and be able to.
Didn't we also have that though
Sure.
years ago? There was 2 different flag.
No.
There wasn't 2 different flag groups. One run by the Wildcats,
No.
and the other one was run.
No.
There was 2
No.
groups in Pop Warner and I forget the other.
That
one.
was, the Titans and,
Yeah,
but that
Titans,
was the.
That was
the-
prior to sanctioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, prior
Yeah.
section.
There
So we
wasn't
did
a,
have
there
it
wasn't a
at one
flag
point.
out of South though. That
Correct.
wasn't. I think there was a flag.
There was a
was,
flag, and then
out of South School.
Right.
No, but
Yeah.
that became, that was
we got
that
rid
was
of.
Nappy's flag that came over to Laffa, and then the Wildcats, what's his name ran it for a while, Slater, and then when Slater gave it up, you met with the Wildcats and all that, and they
And
said
they-
they would take
they
it over.
They
take it
pulled
over.
them in. Right.
Right, so,
exactly.
but it was just one group that
You're, you're correct, and they weren't competing with the Wildcats at that time because the Wildcats were not offering that.
Right,
particular
okay,
thing.
that's what it was.
because that was always
Yeah.
there.
So
It's-
the flag kind of bounced around, and now I think it's happened. We do have one thing. Number 10, the facilities exist to accommodate the new activity. So,
But now you can get it, there's facilities to do that. It's not like before.
No, well, it's not as bad as before, but if a group were to come in and wanted to.
I wanna get
yeah,
sanctioned, I'm gonna play at the high school.
it would-
I'm right. All I'm saying, I'm not. It's not a hill for me to die on. Just something
Yeah.
to think about
Yeah.
as you look at the kids
Yep,
and you get things like this, the onesie twosies that can come in and look at it.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, that New Hampshire charge really isn't even. There might only be 3 Londonderry kids on there. It's just, again, it was convenient for him.
Right. He wasn't trying to promote youth sports in Londonderry. He
No.
was just
Well,
trying to
It
promote.
was
No,
just
what-
convenient for him.
what happened is he called the school district about getting a school field, and he was told that you have to be sanctioned by the town in order to use the school fields. And that's how we got into the
And
sanction.
that was only after he'd been kicked off twice.
Yeah,
So
Well, maybe one of these meetings we should bring out the rules that we have and have a discussion about the current rules.
yeah,
Does
they're
that make
not,
sense?
they're not, these are the rules that have been adopted by the town council too. So it would be ordinance 2018-02. So they would have to, the change would have to be from them, so. Right now, I don't see a problem with it, but like you said, the what if. You know, if another group comes in baton twirling or Irish step dancing or hula hooping or whatever, you know, all great activities, but
You got a point. No, I mean, yeah. No.
Okay, does anybody have anything else?
No.
All set? Yeah, motion to close up?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second? All right, all in
Thank you.
favor? All right.